Hello and welcome. Today's video is going to be all about helping you to create your own unique affirmations. Now, I know you can find all kinds of affirmations if you Google on the internet, and there's tons of them on Pinterest, but there are times when it's really better to create affirmations that are personally yours. And this is particularly true when you're trying to intentionally create your ideal life and what you want to have in your life. So some of your big dreams and that type of thing, you want to write your own affirmations for these. So we're going to talk about 3 things that you should do when you're creating your own affirmations and 3 things that you want to avoid doing as well. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you do want to do is to use positive words when you're creating your affirmations. You want them to be able to put you in a good mood. You want to feel good about it. You want them to be uplifting. So using positive words is very important. The second thing that you want to make sure that you do is you want to make it exciting. Don't hesitate to make your big dreams and goals into an affirmation of some sort. This is a really great way to help you achieve them. And you'll know that you're doing this right by if you write your affirmation and then you say it and it just feels kind of boring and you don't really get any emotion out of it, you're going to need to spark it up somehow. Write it in a way that when you say it, it kind of like gives you a little spark of excitement, if you will. And that's really important because it's the vibrations that you feel and the emotions that you feel when you say your affirmations are the power behind them. And that's what'll give you the motivation to take the actions that you need to take to make them actually your reality. So that's really important as well. The third thing that you'll want to do is make sure that you use the words I and me, that type of thing. You want to make the affirmation about you. You have to remember that that's the only universe that you can change. You can't change somebody else, and even though we'd like to often, right? The only person that you can really change is yourself, and hopefully in changing yourself, others will follow your lead and that type of thing. But that's why it's important when you're making your affirmations to focus on yourself. So then let's switch over to the things that you want to avoid doing when you're writing your own affirmations. So the first thing that comes to mind there that I tell people is that you want to make them a reasonable length. Don't try to cram too much into one affirmation. It's better to have 2 or 3 of them rather than to cram everything that you want to have in terms of your dream life or your ideal life into one, because you want to make them simple enough that you remember them and are able to easily say them every day, whether you're saying them in the shower or on a walk or just first thing in the morning when you're sitting at your desk. You want to have them in a way that you're going to be able to memorize them, if you will. So the second thing that you want to avoid doing when you're creating your affirmations is to use negative words like don't and can't and no longer, that type of thing. As an example of that, you wouldn't want to say, let's say that you were wanting to stop hitting snooze every morning for 3 or 4 times before you actually get up. Then you wouldn't want your affirmation to say, I don't use the snooze button anymore, or I no longer use the snooze button, because then you're just focused on what you're actually doing and trying to avoid doing in that result. So you always want to focus on the positive aspect of what you're doing. So in this case, with that example, something that might work better would be, I easily wake up refreshed and energized every morning and ready to start my day. And to make that an affirmation instead. So the third thing that you want to avoid doing when you're creating your affirmations is to write it in a future tense. This is a really common mistake because if you say that you're going to do something in your affirmation, then you're always going to be doing it. It's always something that's in the future. You're like solidifying that as a future thing, as opposed to having it created right now, happening right now. And the other thing is, when you say something in terms of it being in the present tense, like happening right at this moment, it helps you have the feeling that surrounds what's happening as if it really were happening right now. So it helps you better be able to visualize what that would look like if it was happening right now. Helps you have those feelings. Ooh, nice little breeze there. And that can be really helpful for purposes of creating what you want. So now let's just take a few examples of affirmations that someone might have written and see if we can take those affirmations and actually create them or recreate them in a way that is going to be much more powerful and much more likely to bring the attention of the mind and the motivation to actually accomplish and make that affirmation come true. I've jotted a few affirmations down in my journal that I thought we could go through here together and start with one and then make each one just a little better. So if we start with this first one, I find a house in a nice location. So how can we make this one a little bit better? Well, to start with, we talk about finding a house in a nice location, and that's just indicating that we find it. It doesn't actually indicate that we've done anything about it, that we've purchased it or we have it or whatever. So that doesn't really work all that great. It's kind of future oriented though. It could be like present tense, but then the second thing that I don't really care for too much, and this is a little thing, but it's like house. I think if we changed the wording of that to home, that it would feel a little better. And nice location, I mean, that's okay, but it doesn't really give us much emotion and feeling with respect to it. So here's what I've taken a stab at revising it to say. My beautiful home nestled in the woods on a lake has everything I dreamed of in a home. So we've put some nice descriptors in there, like beautiful, nestled in a woods. You can kind of picture it in your mind. And then when you talk about everything you've dreamed of in a home, you start actually thinking about, well, what is it that I really want in my home? So you can begin to visualize this in your mind, and that will really help, because it's great to also visualize what you want to bring into your future. So let's try another one here. I am doing a better job managing my finances and growing my savings. Well, to start with, when we talk about doing a better job, that indicates we're not doing a very good job right now as it is. And the rest of it, it's just kind of like, to me, if I say that, it just kind of feels a little boring overall. It feels like, oh, okay, I'm going to do a little bit better, which doesn't have a whole lot of enthusiasm behind it. So to revise this, I really like using the word easily a lot in my affirmations, because it implies that something that I'm usually working on that may be challenging for me is actually really easy to do. So I like throwing that in. I easily manage my money wisely. Wisely, nice, another descriptor word here. Allowing me to quickly, another great one here, talking about how long it takes. We're excited it's going to quickly exceed my savings goals of whatever the amount is, and then we put it in a definite time frame this year. And we want to make sure that whatever we make that savings goal, is it something that's kind of a stretch for this, that we feel really excited about it if you actually, created this as your reality. So I think that would be a much better revision of this one. So let's try another one here. I am done with procrastinating about exercise. I am going to run a 5K. So with this one, the first thing is that when we talk about procrastinating, we're already using kind of a negative word there. It would be helpful to not put anything negative in our space when we're talking about our affirmations. So we also are saying that you're going to do something. We don't want to talk about what we're going to do, even though we're putting a little emphasis on it here. So let's revise that. Something that we could have instead could be, now that I work out regularly, I feel absolutely amazing. So some nice descriptors in there, talking about how you feel, and I'm looking forward to. Now, granted, when we say we're looking forward to something, that's a future tense, but since we're really making it a defined time frame, that's okay, because we're already going to need to, particularly since this is just in the next few weeks. I'm looking forward to running a 5K and the turkey trot in the next few weeks. We've got something picked out. It's already a race that we know about. We know when it's happening, so that we can go ahead and put forth the energy and action that we need to get ready to actually do that. I hope you found today's video helpful. If you start creating your own affirmations and you feel like you could use a little bit more help, some help tweaking the words to make them just right, or some suggestions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can send me an email, reply in the comments below, reach out to me on one of the other social channels, and I would love to help you make your own affirmation that much stronger. I really enjoy doing that. And want to also invite you to my affirmations workshop that I am going to host on November 15th at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Would love to see you in that. The information where you can sign up to reserve your spot for that will be in the description. And beyond that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.